Welcome to the I Quit My Job podcast, where ordinary stories lead to extraordinary inspirations. I'm your boy Slicks from 268, promoting you. And today we're going to chop it up with none other than the host of I Quit My Job podcast, owner and founder of Crew TV, thought leader, mentor, educator, entrepreneurial, overall urban legend, none other than the man himself, Slowly, or otherwise known as SlowlyPlusOne. So it's an honor that I be on this side of the mic and letting you get a little introspective into his journey thus far. Ladies and gentlemen, SlowlyPlusOne. We here.
Thank you so much, brother. Oh, that's an amazing intro. I don't think I've ever had an intro like that. I don't think I've even had an intro.
Many more to come your way, my man.
Shit,
Keep
that's so
doing it.
cool, bro. Thank you so much, man. I respect that, and thank you for filling in. Yeah, this is my story, my path, and thank you so much. I get to share it with you, brother.
Yeah,
That's the most amazing part of it.
we always thought that we'd come to this day where at least some parts of the story haven't been told. And, with the podcast running the way you're running it, I think you're grabbing the attention of a lot of listeners out there. So it's always good that the person that's actually doing the interview has experience in what they're interviewing. And I think it's that time for everybody to, just get a little bit of who you are and what you're doing and where you're at right now. So why don't you start us off with that? Like, what you up to these days, my brother?
Oh man, just in the nonprofit world, I run a nonprofit organization. The nonprofit is where I get to give back. So I deliver a lot of seniors digital literacy programs. We also do a lot of virtual production training to youth. So that's more of like cloud technology, live streaming, and then also I do industrial tech, which is almost a foreign program. So a lot of the Caribbean individuals that have been in or industrial factory work can actually upgrade their skills when they come here and actually learn some more about the industrial tech. And also creating this podcast and try to take it to another level and just finding out more about entrepreneurs. And I love to inspire people.
Synopsis of this show is I quit my job. So, give us a little insight on that path and that road for yourself.
I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit in me. So let's just say that. Like so from, as a youth, I've always had to fend for myself. I always had to do things to take care of myself. And so I've always thought that entrepreneurial spirit was the way to go from early. And we ended up getting a job. You were actually working there for a subsidiary of the government. So what was good about that was I applied for the job. I'm on my way. I'm a graduate, and now I have this job. 2 years later, I got laid off, not laid off, but the contract was up and they never renewed my contract. And I was like, oh my goodness, that just blew me away. Like that shattered everything in me. Well, as soon as I like left that job or that job left me, um, I wanted to get into this whole digital video production because I was all of that. And I just remember that day I was saying to you, you go learn to be a director. And then I
Yeah.
learned to be an editor. And then we'll create all these movies and all this shit together. But then, I just kind of went and did the school, learned all this new media production, editing, After Effects, Adobe Premiere. So now I had this drive. I had this drive to say, hey, I wanna create something. Like now I'm no longer working for anybody. I'm no longer gonna work for it. So this is going to be my way. And
But you were always, like you said, on survival mode from a youth. So those, uh, qualities that were ingrained in you help you to persevere and you got your hustle on. You pursued a path, you got educated, re-educated yourself into the digital media world. And I remember you saying, yo, Slicks, man, I ain't working again.
no, there was a lot happening in there. There's a couple years that also made me kind of wake up and just made me even stronger. Taking this road and saying, hey, now I'm not going back to work for anyone. I'm going to work for myself, and this is what it's going to be. It's going to be in this whole new media. It's going to be in this digital production. I wasn't trying to like be an editor for all these like other things. I'm like, yo, if I'm going to edit, I'm going to edit for myself. And in doing that, taking on that for self node, um, was a real struggle because now, equipment, a camera is 12,000 for like what I needed for. I had to have that money to order to have those equipment for us to do what we needed to do because we wanted to build our own broadcast. And so for me, I became very enterprising, so I took a lot of risks in saying, "Hey, I need to have that money." That wasn't even an easy. Those were choices that I made, and it could be the wrong choice, but my only point and my only view was to say, "Hey, I'm going to build this studio. We're gonna deliver this digital, and we're gonna have everybody watching our own station." Taking those risks, of course. There's a point where everything comes to a head, right? I'm trying to run a business, but I'm running a business in a way that wasn't so straight. So, of course, I entered in some legal troubles then. And then within those legal troubles, again, I got motivated because my lawyer was like, this man has all kinds of skills. This is what he's trying to do for the Black community. He's bringing all this digital awareness to the community and he's teaching them digital literacy. The judge said to me, hey, you got to do a presentation because this was a whole 5-day case, like wasn't no in and out. So I went home. I remember going home and putting all this like editing together, putting my business thing together. And then when we showed it the next day in the court, he was floored. He goes like, Mr. Slowly, what took you off your beaten path? This is amazing. And so just for the fact of that and being able to show that, hey, my intention wasn't to buy fancy cars. My intention wasn't to take advantage of somebody. My intention was to build a business I could build a community. Right.
So
right.
give us a little insight. After your legal troubles, I understand that you're able again to reinvent yourself, and you start partnering with nonprofit Tropicana.
Right. What really kind of threw me again was the fact that I was having these like emotional, should I, apply for jobs? Should I not apply? So when I did apply for a couple of jobs, one of them like was a major, I guess, media company. And somehow in that whole mix, one of the emails came back to me and said, Dad, we can't hire this guy. We can't hire this guy. And the dad was like, well, he has great skills. He's better than any editor that we have. And so then it's like, Dad, we can't hire this guy. This guy has a record. Oh, that took me down. Like I was like, shit. So now it even forced me to say, hey, you can't even don't even fake it. Because yeah, everybody would say to me, oh, you can always get that erased. You can just get this criminal record shit erased. But I'm like, yeah, you could get that record gone, but you're still in front of that person and you're still who you are in front of them. So they're going to have to either believe in you or they're going to take the easy road and say, hey, if it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. You know what I'm saying? That kind of like weak kind of attitude. So what I had to do in terms of the nonprofit was like, I had to look at the corporate world, look at the different sectors and say, okay, with all the skills and actually analyze what I had. I had a degree, I had skills in terms of the new media. As a person, I completed a lot. I had my number retired. So I had a good resume. You know what? I'm going to go into the nonprofit world because the nonprofit world is the world that says, hey, everybody makes a mistake, but then you can become a mentor and help those that are looking to make the same mistakes that you made. And so here's the journey now. So I registered as a nonprofit and I'm sending out these emails. These emails now get a life of its own. And people are contacting me. The city of Toronto's contacting me. And then boom, Tropicana. Shout out to Tropicana because I used them as a youth. And then all of a sudden here I am. I guess like a week later, they called me and says, hey, would you like to lead this program? This is what I wanted. And then another thing though, what worked is the fact that I said I wanted to open a digital media center. So the fact that this was my first array of actually working in a media center that the city had put together and I was leading it, that's when I started to realize like whatever you ask for, you can actually get if you believe in yourself.
Can you share with the audience, some people that are out there might be thinking about, there's a fork in the road and which way to go. What are some of the life lessons or helped you, make the decisions that you're making?
Yeah, it's a great question. You always got to do your research, but I also had to take stock of everything that I had, my inventory. And then once you take stock of your inventory, which is you, then I was able to make the decisions on what I did. And so, they happened to work out the way I wanted it.
If you can think back to when you first quit that job or first realized that I wasn't going to go back to working for somebody, how you took it mentally. Of course, you got bills to pay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
you got shelter, you got
Right,
food that you
right.
gotta. What was that like on your person?
Like I said, I was getting the EI, and the EI is only for a certain amount. And but there was always like little jobs that I was doing, like little quick factory jobs, for like 4 days, 5 days, those temp programs. I was doing a lot of that. So I was able to be able to, stay afloat by just using my wits and my smarts and hustling and being able to do those things. And like as an entrepreneur, just as a person going through it, you kept your face straight, because I just remember I never saw my folks wither at one point or show me they're having problems. They just went to work like nothing was happening. You know what I'm saying? They just went to work. But now that I see as an entrepreneur or just going through the hard times, I may have to keep that secret from you. I may have to keep that secret from my closest friend. They may not even know, like, yo, what's going on? You okay? But they just see a face on me. They see I'm good. They see, I'm looking clean. I make sure I kept that, because that's one of the things is you can't walk around with all the worries on your face. You can't walk around with everything about you. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta, if you stay positive, you say like, this is where I'm gonna go, you're eventually gonna get there.
I think you gave the people a lot today. I mean, a lot of gems out there. And, if you're thinking of quitting your job or transitioning or you're going through a rough time, I think you spoke on it today. You know what I mean? You gave some people a real introspective to Slowly Plus One.
And also one of the things that I just wanted to kind of say is like, I kept up with my education. I realized how the nonprofit world really works. So, but like I said, I kept up with my education because now I was doing pitch for Crew TV, because I was actually making my transition to say, hey, I'm going to learn these things, social enterprise, and it was being offered at Schulich School of Business. And you had to be selected to get in there. So I had to pitch my idea of this amazing social enterprise that I wanted to develop. It got selected. So I was able to go to Schulich School of Business, like, Schulich.
Right,
I was like,
yeah.
what? And I got like a whole, lesson on the social enterprise and all of that. So I kept my knowledge up, because now I'm running a nonprofit. So I had to have more of the skills to understand what I'm talking about. Upon graduation, we also had to do another pitch. So basically, we had to pitch to see if we can get a space to work with. So we did a pitch, showed them what our idea was. It was an online pitch competition. The viewers voted us. We won that competition. And then we ended up getting a space in New York region. So everything that I thought about and wanted and I had on my phone as visual, everything was coming true. Like everything came through, like everything. So now I'm more confident in myself. I started doing satellite services. So I was like, I was just hired educator. So organizations would hire me to do 6 months, 3 months, 4 months. And I was this guy,
Right.
COVID hit.
COVID hit, and it was a major, major shift for not only the world, but the communities and in education and in business world. How did you adapt to that? What did that mean for you?
When COVID hit, to me and my own, I'm speaking for me. When COVID hit, oh man, it was the greatest thing in terms of the world shutting down. And because now I could look behind me and there was no because it was hard. It was hard just, in between those times. I have a lot of bills, I have a lot of things happening, and there was just a lot of pressure. Things were coming in, and so when COVID hit, it was like the world stopped. I had a chance to kick back a minute. I looked around. There was no heavy bill running after me. Everything was calm. And then I was like, okay, here's a drought. This is where I shine, because now everybody's starting off at the same level. You don't have a job. You lived in a job that you thought was the shit, and now you're out of one based on, COVID. And now you're depressed because you don't have that job to go back to.
Or you don't have the skills
You
to
don't
shift,
have the
to
skills
adapt.
to shift. So like at that time, I was like, man, this is heaven. So just knowing how education was shifting, I said, all right, let's develop an online platform. We invested a lot in the online platform at that time, but it was also very costly to maintain. And I'm doing this as this person where I'm putting so much more into the business. I'm actually investing into the business, investing to all the staff, and
and this is via grants
and this is via
your
grants and my
consulting
own persons,
fees.
my own monies,
Yeah.
grants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm paying this out because I'm investing. I'm not sitting back. We eventually built it. We ran a couple successful programs, but again, it was very hard to maintain. And I didn't go out there and seek that money. I don't really say much. I'm very private in terms of how I move, and I don't think I still got over the fact that I had this little blemish on me.
I don't think it's that you that's not getting over the fact. I think it's the outside world. We live in a digital age now where information is just so easily accessible. People don't sit down and talk to people, get to know people, get to see what they're about, get feedback on
Mm,
what they're dealing with. So they're not giving you a chance,
right,
to kind of show improve. What you've done is you let your actions speak louder than words. So eventually, what's
nice.
to come will come.
And I really want to appreciate you for sitting in and sharing half the story. I mean, like you say, like we live in our own lane. We follow our own path. And that's what everybody else should be doing within themselves, is to follow their own path. Because in the end, you're gonna have your own ending.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Remember, 268, you can catch us out there promoting you. Do what you do. Shout out to RHF, Vintage Cap, Never Black Down, Karen Gibson Rock. Check them out. I'm a man Slow. I Quit My Job podcast.
We out. Peace.